then I went to Ryder, had an amazing experience for 4 days. I was with the teammates. Like we went out, it was unbelievable. I went to New York. Everything was perfect. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to Ryder. And then
Yeah,
I went back home. I went back home, and the Aguinaga coach calls me. He's like, yo, great news! I got you 100%.
yeah.
Dude, I was like, no way.
Yes, sir. I'm your host, Leroy, and welcome back to The Insight. But before we start, could you make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for any new content that will be coming your way very soon. But without further ado, enjoy the pod. When you heard about the United States, were you like hesitant, or at that point you had already made your decision? Okay, cool. Like I'm gonna
You
do
know, it's
this.
crazy because the way I heard of it, like when I first heard of it, I was like, I mean, like I wanna go.
Yeah.
I heard like there was like we were at Getafe, there was under 19s, and this kid came to like a tryout. So it's like the most random way. Kid coming to tryout, right? And he was like, you know, I always talk with them like, what's up? Where you going? Where you come
Yeah.
from? Where you know? And he was like, yeah, well, if I don't get signed here, I'm gonna go to the United States. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? And then he explained me everything, right? And when I hear, it's like, what do you mean? They pay you for your scholarship? Like, you go there, you can live, they give you a house or a housing, and then you can live there and study while you're playing. And that's the year that I was like, should I go to this? The year after, I was gonna join the architecture,
Oh,
right? And I
yeah.
knew it was gonna be hard. So then I remember talking with him, and that's what happened. And then the year after, when I started and I couldn't finish, like I was very mad because I was 18 years going to school, and getting into architecture school in Spain is very competitive too. You gotta be a really good student.
Yeah.
And I got in, and then Getafe like kind of like play me where they were like, it's okay, get the classes in the afternoon. We want you to train with the pros in the morning, and then if you don't play, you play with your team. So I did that, and then after 2 months, I wasn't playing with the pros, and they were like, go back to your team. We don't need you. And my team turned in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I already have my classes in the afternoon, right? Like I can change
I
them
can't
mid-term.
train. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they were like, we don't care, you know? So that's when I was like pretty mad. And I was like, I heard about that. And then another friend of mine that I play with was in the States, two guys actually. So I talked to them and I started like, learning a little bit because I didn't know anything. And they
Yeah.
started telling me we're here, like we have having good experiences. I keep like in contact with them, and that's why I'm coming to the States.
Damn. So when you obviously decided to go to the States, luckily you were smart. You did research. Me, I didn't do no research. I just blinked and I picked up my bags and left.
Yeah.
So like, did
How was
you,
it? How was it for you? How do you learn about it?
bruh? So what happened is I was at Luton, which was my academy from the age of 13 to 19.
Yeah.
So we did the same thing. We finished school at 16, and then you get 2 years of like education you want to do. So what I did is I had like a scholarship, which is like is that scholarship? Apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And basically you go in and you train like full time with your team from 16 to 18, and they basically like monitor you to see whether you can go professional. So my first year, I was doing proper sick. I actually was on the bench for the first team at 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I was doing proper well. But then the beginning of my second year, so when I was 17, I tore my ACL.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, I tore my ACL. So I was out for the whole second year, where obviously you get 2 years to see whether you're good enough. So they gave me an extra year, which was like when I made it to 19. But at that point, for me, when you come back from a long injury, you can be a bit like timid to maybe go into tackles or play properly. So that was all my fault. So I got released, and then so I went to this thing called there was an exit trial. So they told me that at the exit trials, like it was basically everybody in the country at different clubs who had been released from their clubs. So like there was people from like QPR, like big teams in like Championship, Premier League, all that stuff. And
Yeah.
you basically like play like a game, and there's supposed to be other teams from England and coaches that come to watch the game. It's like a tryout kind of thing.
Yeah.
But at that tryout, there was colleges from what? From America. So obviously I didn't know that at the beginning. And then after the tryout, they send you a letter with everybody who's interested in it, because they obviously get your
Yeah.
contact details. So I got home and I get home and I see the letter, and I'm now seeing USA, 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 USA. I'm thinking, bro, I don't want to go USA. I'm trying to stay in England.
Yeah.
And then my coach called me, because they have they have your contact details. He called me on the phone the next day. He was like, "Yo, like I'm from UNCG. Like I watched you play. Like I'm really interested. I want you to come up to America." So I was like, "Okay, cool. Like I'll hear you out. Like I'm not really trying to travel. I've
Yeah.
hardly left Europe, let
Yeah.
alone go all the way on the other side."
Yeah.
So basically, he said the same thing. Like, I'll take care of you, your house, books, insurance, X, Y, Z. And now you're thinking, okay, cool. I have this opportunity to go to a different country, get an education, while still play comfortably, and you know you have the security of 4 years to play,
Yeah.
and nothing happens. So that's how I heard about it, and obviously the rest is history, innit?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
But
it's
it's mad
crazy how
though.
you like ended up places, right?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, how did you pick Ryder?
I didn't honestly didn't pick. I didn't know anything about it. Like it was a little bit of a process. I remember one of the guys that Adrian has,
Yeah,
that I played with at Rayo Vallecano when we were 14 years old before I went to Real Madrid, right?
yeah,
Through like social media, whatever. He was one of the guys that but like it was like 4 or 5 years that I didn't spoke with him. Like obviously we played together, but you know how it is. You play with people. Sorry, you play with people, and then 4 or 5 years after, like you don't talk with them every day.
yeah, yeah.
And he was one of the guys that I played with that went to the States, and he went to Ryder.
Oh,
So I talked to him like about how do you do it, blah 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 blah. And in Spain, the two guys that did it that I knew, they basically pay for this company that you pay, and they make a profile, contact all the coaches, and like kind of like sell you to all the American universities, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
that was a lot of money, and like my parents, I wasn't gonna ask a cent to my parents. I didn't want them to pay anything.
yeah,
So I told my father the possibility, and then we had this guy that I guess he was my agent.
yeah,
We never really signed properly, like proper documents, but I guess he was my agent, and like really nice guy. He was
yeah,
like, "Yeah, I know a guy that he's a coach, I think, from New York, and he's here this week. I'll tell you to if you really want to go. I'll tell him to go watch you."
yeah.
So he came, and he was a coach from Iona, which was in the same conference than Ryder, and we
Oh,
did the whole process, bro. It was crazy. Like we did the whole process. We met my parents. Like he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna give you scholarship, everything." But the thing is, he wasn't gonna give me 100%.
ah,
And obviously, I didn't want to go because I at first he said like something like 75,
yeah,
and I was like, okay, what's the difference was like $5,000. Like I'm not going like every year. You're crazy now. So I'll tell you like yeah, but like I knew I wasn't gonna go. Then he came with like 90. I was like, okay, sure. He even sent me the letter of intent,
yeah,
everything. Because I told him, okay. And then he was like, let's do this. The last thing he was like, I'm going to try to get you 100. I don't promise anything. Just sign the letter. And then if you come here and the first year you're good, I'll give you 100. Right?
them guys.
And I'm like, oh, it's New York. Like, maybe we can make an effort. First year, I make a good year. And then I get 100%.
Yeah,
But in that process, I remember talking with this, my friend. And I was like, yo, he actually reached me out. Because I scored a hat trick and I posed, and this is out through Instagram. This is how crazy it was. I posted a picture with the ball because I scored a hat trick.
yeah,
And he texted me, he's like, yo, I remember you were looking to like come to the States. Did you ever like find anything? And I was like, well, I did. Like, I think if I do go, because I wasn't sure 100%, I might go to Iona. And I didn't even know anything. And he's like, no, Iona, that's our conference. That's our biggest rivals. No way. Let me talk to my coach. Because if you go to Iona, you're gonna kill us. That's what he says. Like he was like, no, you're coming to Ryder. Let me talk to my coach. And he spoke with his coach. I'm like, what is this Ryder in New Jersey? Didn't know anything. But
yeah,
he was always like super nice. He's like, we're gonna get you 100%. Like I'm gonna do anything. He was like, if we get you 100%, would you come? I was like, yes.
yeah, yeah.
2 weeks later, the coach is like, okay, if you do agree with this, I'll pay you a trip. You come and I don't know if this, like, but like, I'll make you come and like visit.
Yeah.
You can come and visit the university. And I was like, I mean, he's like paying me a trip to New York and come like visit the university, and I didn't even know if I was gonna go.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
sure, I signed whatever, you know, it is. I just okay, and I signed it, and then I went to Ryder, had an amazing experience for 4 days. I was with the teammates, like we went out, it was unbelievable. I went to New York, everything was perfect. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to Ryder. And then
Yeah,
I went back home. I went back home, and the Aguinaga coach calls me. He's like, yo, great news, I got you 100%.
yeah.
Dude, I was like, no way. I was like, well, too bad. I already signed with Ryder. It's like, what?
Oh,
What?
no.
I cursed me and hung out the phone, and I was like, yeah, I'll never forget that. But it
Oh,
turned out
damn.
good because I got 2 championships with Ryder, so that was good.
Damn. So what happened when you played at Iona when you went to Ryder? Did he
I
like
was
speak to you?
First ball I touched, the center back just cracking me in from behind. Like I don't know if it was the directions there, but I'm pretty sure it was because I played them with a Rebel with um with this guy, with one of the guys that played at Iona, and he told me that like you messed us up because when when you told him you were going to Ryder, he made us run. He was so mad. It was actually funny. Yeah, Jordan Scarlett is now on top.
Jose, you're killing guys, bro. You know running in America is dangerous.
Yeah, you know, the thing I always say is like, if he would have given me 100% since the first moment, like the other coach didn't even show a video of me.
Yeah.
He just trusted the word of my friend and was like, I'll give you 100%. And I mean, it worked out because we won 2 championships. We right there, we gone all the way to the final and made the tournament twice. Which for Ryder is a small school. I didn't know anything. Ryder is a small school, and for them making the tournament was like a huge thing.
Like a huge thing, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how small it was.
So Ryder was in New Jersey. How was your like experience? Obviously now you're close to New York, basically.
Yeah,
Like how was your
that was
experience like as just a
it,
student?
it was like great. The first year I struggled a lot. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, because the language I barely spoke English when
Oh,
I went there, and you know it's like you don't speak the language. It's like a different football, you know, from Europe, and especially college football. I think it's a different sport. College is not even soccer. It's like a different sport, especially like I think like smaller teams, maybe like bigger schools, they play really like quality
yeah.
soccer. But the whole thing was like you can get changed and you can go out and come in the game, and the whole overtime thing, like that was a struggle.
Yeah,
Like,
overtime so bad.
yeah, it was
Overtime
so
so
bad.
bad.
So the first year I struggled a little bit, and then the second year I did really good, and then the third two, and then I got last year, and then I got drafted. So great experience, you know, a lot of friends that I'm gonna keep for life, and I'm glad that I just got right there. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Did you ever struggle with the balance between college classes and playing games and stuff?
Yeah, it was hard. Like for me, the hardest thing was like planning all the schedules because I did math, a writer,
Yeah, yeah.
and they didn't offer many like hours. So sometimes it conflicted with my training schedule. So I did whatever to not like missing training because like the season is so short. Like if I'm missing one training, it's like 1% of the season, you know.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, but other than that, it was good. The teachers helped me a lot. Like when I got drafted, I still have a semester left, and that was kind of like a struggle because at first they weren't gonna let me go, and I was like, "What do you mean? Like this is the only reason why I came here." And I work it out with all my teachers. They let me pretty much take all the classes online,
Yeah.
which you know was great. And I graduated thanks to that. So I went to eat and I was eating with my teammates. And then one of them goes like, yo, congrats, you got drafted for Rebels. And I'm like, no way. You thought he was playing with me. No, you're not.
Yeah.
And the other guy's like, yeah, Twitter. And he saw me in Twitter, the Twitter of Ryder or whatever, like José Aguinaga drafted. And I remember I was like, fuck yeah, like what the hell? Let me see that. And